Welcome to Snowfields, the zoo I play off camera. I'll be going over the enclosures very quickly and try not to bore you too much with all the information. And if there's anything that you want to know about this, then please comment down below. Also, any animals that you're interested in me adding into the zoo we play for this channel, please comment down below what species and I will add in one of their offspring and we can start our own separate line. And it'll be very cool to kind of carry on the genes in a different zoo as well as continuing in this one as well. I have several animals to get through, so I will not bore you anymore with talking and we will jump straight in. I'm not going to worry too much about exhibit animals as I only have a couple and they are only tiny, but if you did want to know what ones I have, I'll do a very short video on that next time. So the first enclosure I actually built was this Siberian tiger enclosure. Duchess and Duke were the first I added in here, and they had Princess. She's a very gorgeous white tigress and she actually has a white male in here, which means they both have had a couple of offspring, including these two gorgeous little females. These two are probably going to be the last ones I have as they're both getting on in age, and I'll be continuing to keep a hold of one of these two little gorgeous girls and they will continue on their line of their parents and their grandparents in here in the zoo. Over on this side was an actual painstaking job to get this done, and the two I actually had in here originally didn't really get on very well, though I'm now thinking it was the stress due to the people and not the other polar bear. But at the moment we have Nanook over here. He's settling into his cave and nicely having a mess in there, of course. Over on this side we have Snow, he's female, and two of their cubs. They've actually had 3 litters altogether, and this is going to be their last litter as well, as they are both elderly, and again I'll be keeping one of their kids behind so that I could continue on their line. But she is actually the daughter of the two that started it here in the zoo. Now if we go across from the Siberian tigers, we actually come to the Amur leopards. These are actually my favourite cat in the wild, and when I realised they were added to the game, it's another reason why I kind of added them into the zoo, because I wanted to be able to play with them. They recently have just had some babies, so I have actually just removed them as they've just aged up and I didn't want them fighting each other. So at the moment Alice and her boyfriend here are having some alone time and just chilling with each other, enjoying their peace and quiet. Alice here is actually a female born of Hunter and Aelin. Aelin was actually Queenie and King's daughter, so that is 3 generations in here, going to be 4 when I add in one of their babies. At the moment they aren't exactly elderly, so they might actually have a couple more cubs for me. If not, I will just let them live out their days and then add in another one as I have been with everybody else. This is the meerkat enclosure. I have a nice little colony in here at the moment. I'm waiting for some new males to be added in so I can start breeding them again, as the alpha female tried to breed with her brother. And no, we do not want that. There were aardvarks that were in here before, but I removed them because they got super stressed, and also her partner died, so she was all alone. So I decided that I would just let her go and live her days in a rehoming centre and enjoy what was left, rather than be stressed here with all the people crowding around their enclosure, because they are right next to the shop. So that doesn't really help, but the meerkats don't mind too much as they have plenty of places to go and hide, especially this back area over here. These ones are basically holding pens. This was for my African lions, but they've been moved, and this one was for some prairie dogs that I had some offspring from a previous zoo in my animal training centre, and they were only tiny, so I put them in here. As soon as they aged up I took them out of the zoo because I wasn't really interested in breeding them up anymore, but that is why that is there. I might potentially put something in here. If not, I might just open this up so that there's a bigger space for them all to have. I'm not too sure yet. Over in this enclosure, well, this massive enclosure here, it used to be where I had my zebras, a mixed sort of enclosure, so zebras, ostriches, buffalo, antelope, because I had a lot random ones in my training centre and I wanted to get them out and sort of see what I had, maybe breed them up a little bit, get some extra conservation points and some money. But they got stressed quite a lot because there was a lot of people that obviously congregate on this bridge area, and I had to put lots of foliage on top and around, and in the end I kind of it got a bit too much with trying to keep up with this and everything else in the zoo, when they kept obviously breeding a lot and having a lot of males which then were fighting, or they were trying to inbreed with their daughters. So I decided that I was going to cut way back. I got rid of basically everything apart from a couple of the zebras, and they're actually in a different enclosure which we'll come to shortly. This actually contains our West African lions. There are 42 lions in here at the moment, though there won't be as many because some of the females are actually very elderly at the moment, and some of the cubs in here are actually male, and I actually have a separate area for the males which I'll show you very shortly. But we come into this den area to see how many are actually in here. At the moment they're comfortable with the numbers, because even though there's a lot of cubs in here, they obviously don't count the overall population, so there's still just enough in here for them to be very happy with this big pride that they have. If we come out and come over in this section over here, this is where I put all the male lions. Once they age up, I'll add them into my trading center or send them off to the wild, or sell them for money, or put them up onto the trading center for people to buy, and that way it just clears up that, so there's not too many in there, and also I don't have to worry so much for when they age up and I have to continuously grab them and pull them out, because sometimes I forget and I don't want them to argue. But of course we have the mixture of white lions as well as all the different coat variations of the normal colours as well, just because it's just super cute to have all the different variations in one big enclosure. I actually recently added it so people can actually look inside here as well, so they can enjoy the boys while they're just chilling in here waiting to be taken off to another zoos to continue their genes. Now if we come over this way, we actually have our cheetah exhibit. Now first off, his name is Spot, don't ask me why, but he is a very gorgeous patternless cheetah. His longtime mate Freckles actually passed away, and he is very elderly himself. I kept behind their son, and he's going to be coming in this enclosure and getting a girlfriend, but right now I'm letting him just enjoy whatever life he has left, just relaxing and having a good time in this place all by himself. In this enclosure here we have all our studs, all our male deer, all our stags. We have a variation of the melanistic and also the white fur, and these are in here because they are male offspring of a group of deer, and I didn't want them fighting with their father, so that's why they're in here until they come of age, and then I'll move them on just like I do with the male lions. Opposite this enclosure we actually have our saltwater crocodiles. Here we go. So this is Toph, and we also have Zuko, who is just above her. He's huge compared to her. She is albino, and he is just a yellow belly scaled crocodile, and they actually have 10 offspring in here at the moment, and they have actually had several babies, which if I click on top here you'll be able to see just how many, and she's nowhere near elderly yet, so they're probably going to have several more. It takes until they're like 14 years old to become fully grown and section mature, so they're in here for a long time, and I think it just really makes this whole area come alive when you just see how many are actually in here, even though you can't really see any at all because they're all underwater. If you come over here, we actually have our timber wolves. We have an alpha female Maddie and also her boyfriend Yates, and they have currently had one little pup between them. She's quite elderly. She is actually a daughter of the original alphas, but I'm hoping they'll actually have some more pups soon. If not, the next one in line will of course become the alpha female, as well as dating with Yates, though I'm not sure if I might have to sort that out because I don't think they're related, but just in case they are, I might have to intervene. Over in this way, this is where our zebras are. I have all of them are actually the albino, and I just absolutely love them. I love the colour of their eyes, the whites of their skins. They just are absolutely gorgeous. I currently have a couple of females, one male, and a couple of foals in here as well, and I actually enjoy this enclosure I think a bit more because it's a lot more blocked off so they don't get too stressed. Then over on this side we have our deer enclosure. Ignore the fact that there's more males in here than there is females at the minute, but they are actually getting moved out into another enclosure with the other males. So we actually have some Melly, we have melanistic, and we also have the white variation, and this is Stud, our breeding male, who's the father to basically every single baby at the zoo right now, and he is very good at what he does, though he is elderly, so I may unfortunately have to bring in a new male, but I just wanted to have different variations rather than the usual, and sometimes it's quite hard to find a nice breeding male. So as you can see, the coats just look absolutely gorgeous. Over this way we actually have our king penguins, and they actually enjoy this enclosure even though there's not really much in here, but they have a huge area where they can swim in, and also a nice viewing area for the people as well. This was actually going to be for my seals, but I found that it's probably going to be a bit too big for them, and I didn't realise how much space these king penguin actually need. There is currently 60 in here, and there could be up to 500. I'm not sure if I'm going to let them get that far, but we'll see how that goes. Over in this enclosure we have our African penguins, so same type, but they like it a bit warmer than their cousins next door, so they have some heaters around because this area gets covered in snow, and they are doing very well. There's currently 43 in here as well, all got breeding pairs, and we actually have some really nice sort of genes in here as well. I'm hoping that he's going to create some beautiful offspring, but at the moment he hasn't, unfortunately. And as you can see, I get pop-ups so much of them mating and having babies that I've just kind of started to ignore it. This enclosure I'm not too happy about. It was kind of rushed because I wanted to get them into one and out of my trading centre. I may potentially build them a different enclosure, or maybe just stop breeding them and then bring in something different here. But this is Wyatt. Here is our breeding male. He's had several offspring in here already, and that is the problem I'm having because a lot of them are actually going to start aging up soon, and I don't want him breeding with his daughters or fighting with his sons. So that's something I'll need to look at very shortly. And then in this massive enclosure over here, we'll find our breeding male. This is Manny. He is an African savanna elephant, and he is the father to all of the babies in here, as well as the mate to all of the females. There are currently 17 elephants in this enclosure. Most of them are females, and a couple of them are actually babies. I believe this one is Dumbo, indeed. He is the second baby to be born here at the zoo, and a couple of the females I do believe are still actually pregnant, so we are expecting some more offspring. But this enclosure is absolutely massive. The more they had in here, the more they wanted it expanded, as well as a swimming area, because I do like to go swimming, as this little female here is actually going to demonstrate shortly. And there's a nice little walkway over so that people can actually see in from a different angle, and then obviously walk around this way and then walkway over here. I find that doing the concrete with the glass inside is much better because they kept smashing the other glass, but they weren't very happy, so that was probably why they did it, even though the maintenance on this is not very kept up. But I don't want them escaping, so I'll be sorting that out soon. Then last but not least, we have my newest enclosure, and this holds my western chimpanzees. I literally built this last night, and this here is Casper. He is the alpha male to all the females and all the babies. He is the father of in here. We have several youngsters which were only born very recently, and I'm super excited with this enclosure. I wanted something very different, so I decided to make an island with a moat around it because they can't go into the water, and they seem to really enjoy it on here. There's a lot of areas for them to climb up on, some nice areas for them to sleep in, lots of activities all over the place to make sure wherever they go in this enclosure they have enough enrichment as well, because I don't want them getting too stressed and then trying to jump in the water or anything. But yeah, I'm just really excited about this. I did think that you need to have 5 males to 5 females, 10 males, 10 females, because that does what it say in the Zoopedia, but for some reason it didn't really work out like that. He just bred with all the females himself anyway, so I just kind of removed them out. So I've just got a few more females and then just made this a bigger troop with just one of the alpha males, and then of course all of his babies. If there's any males in here, I'll probably just leave them in, and then if they get too much or one of the little babies becomes alpha, I'll just remove them out so that they don't breed with any of their parents. Okay, well, I hope you enjoyed this episode. It's very short and probably very quick, but I wanted to just show you guys what I've been working off camera, and if there was any of these animals that you wanted me to add into the zoo we play, then just let me know and I'll keep some of their offspring so we can do so. Especially maybe these crocodiles, because as I say, you can get loads in here, and it's very, very nice to have like a full exhibit rather than just have 2 or 3 in one. As you can see in this shot just here, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 maybe in just this one little area, so it's very nice. And yeah, I hope you enjoy this video. I hope you have a nice day, and all I'll say now is bye.